Good afternoon. All right. Welcome to Alumni Weekend 2014 and to Celebrating Ohio Wesleyan, the annual meeting of the Ohio Wesleyan Alumni Association and the recognition ceremony. We've made some changes to the program and really, quite frankly, throughout the weekend if you've been here before, and hopefully you've noticed those. Our goal is to honor justly our outstanding alumni, as well as provide you with the best atmosphere to receive a State of the University message from our president. I hope you enjoy the revised format, and we appreciate your constructive comments. I'm Dave Livingston, class of 1994, and it's my pleasure to serve as president of the Alumni Association Board of Directors. There are well over 300 people here today. It's wonderful. We expect several hundred more to be joining us this evening throughout our various class reunion dinners, and I'd invite at this time Jack McKinney, class of 1954, to the podium to deliver our invocation. Jack?
Thank you. Let us pray. Dear God, we thank you for this day. We praise you for the beauty of your creation. We ask you to be present with us here today as we recognize several outstanding individuals, some for their professional accomplishments and outstanding service to humankind, others for their volunteer service to Ohio Wesleyan University. We ask you to bless each of them as they serve as role models and inspiration for others to follow in their footsteps. We thank you for the opportunity to return to the beautiful campus to renew friendships and to rekindle pleasant memories from the past. Bless the administration, faculty, staff, and especially the students as they all work in harmony to prepare for a successful and fulfilling life in a global economy. Amen.
Thank you, Jack. We welcome not only alumni, but those spouses and friends who have accompanied you back to campus. We hope you enjoy the weekend and feel part of the Ohio Wesleyan family. This weekend is the largest gathering of alumni and friends on campus each year. I'd like to introduce a few special guests for the weekend. First, could we please have any current or past members of the Board of Trustees or the Alumni Board of Directors stand and be recognized? Thank you very much for your service. I'd like to thank also Professor Joe Musser, who is playing our organ for us today. Thank you, Joe. We also have a large number of alumni in the room who volunteer for the university in various capacities, be it a reunion volunteer, Ohio Wesleyan Fund class officer, a regional chapter leadership board member, an admissions recruitment officer, a career networking volunteer, someone that's involved with Team OWU, or as a Greek advisor. Would you all please stand and be recognized? This year we have a number of international alumni who have traveled back to Delaware from Dubai, Australia, England, and Bolivia for their reunions. Thank you for making an effort to be here. We also have one alumna from the class of 1944. Mary McGee Sell is celebrating her 70th reunion. Congratulations, Mary. Finally, today is Armed Forces Day. I'd like to take a moment to ask all of our veterans to please stand and let us honor you for having worn the uniforms of the United States of America. We thank you for protecting the freedoms under which we have lived and the protection that you have provided. Please stand. Now I'd like to introduce Sheila Fagan Plecha, class of 1984, the Vice President of our Alumni Board of Directors, to present the 2014 Annual Giving Report. Sheila?
Thank you, David. Branch Rickey was quoted, "It is not the honor that you take with you, but the heritage that you leave behind." Our heritage is engagement and participation. Classmates engage classmates to attend events, provide opportunities for students, volunteer, and participate in giving. When we give to the Ohio Wesleyan Fund and attend our reunion, we demonstrate our belief that Ohio Wesleyan is an excellent institution worthy of our support and involvement. The more alumni who show their support, the more likely it is Ohio Wesleyan will accomplish its goals, boost its academic reputation, and attract and retain the best students and faculty. At this time, I would like to announce the year-to-date giving of each reunion class. Although there is much here to celebrate, please hold your applause until all of the classes have been announced. The class of 2009 has raised $3,741 with 8% participation in honor of their 5th reunion. The class of 2004 has raised $1,470 with 6% participation in honor of their 10th reunion. The class of 1999 has raised $6,457 with 8% participation in honor of their 15th reunion. The class of 1994 has raised $13,374 with 8% participation in honor of their 20th reunion. The class of 1984 has raised $18,222 with 10% participation in honor of their 30th reunion. The class of 1979 has raised $26,691 with 13% participation in honor of their 35th reunion. The class of 1974 has raised $78,932 with 21% participation in honor of their 40th reunion. The class of 1969 has raised $160,871 with 26% participation in honor of their 45th reunion. We will hold off sharing the results of the 50th reunion committee momentarily to allow members of the class to present their own results for this milestone reunion year. The class of 1959 has raised $187,901 with 41% participation in honor of their 55th reunion. Special recognition goes to this class for having the greatest participation to date. The class of 1954 has raised $42,629 with 35% participation in honor of their 60th reunion. The class of 1949 has raised $39,708 with 35% participation in honor of their 65th reunion. The class of 1944 has raised $7,506 with 21% participation in honor of their 70th reunion. The class of 1939 has raised $1,050 with 17% participation in honor of their 75th reunion. In addition to gifts to the Ohio Wesleyan Fund, we want to recognize university-wide giving. Please reference the class giving summary in your program, which highlights significant estate commitments and 5 years of cumulative giving to the university. On behalf of those who will benefit from your generosity, we thank you for your contributions. I invite the members of each reunion committee to please stand and be recognized for encouraging your classmates to engage and participate. Please stand. Thank you. Now we will celebrate the 50th reunion, the class of 1964. First, a special thank you to the class leaders, Ann and Dick Castle, Grant Kurtz, and Kathy Law Rhinesmith for your leadership and dedication. At this time, I would like to invite the entire 1964 committee to stand and be recognized. 50th reunion marks a tremendous milestone in the lives of Ohio Wesleyan alumni and is the largest class gathering since graduation. In addition to celebrating alumni accomplishments, friendships, Ohio Wesleyan honors the giving tradition of the 50th reunion classes and the meaningful legacy it has had for many generations. At this time, we would like to invite two of the committee chairs, Grant Kurtz and Kathy Law Rhinesmith, to come up to the stage to present their class gift.
Thank you. This has been a great year for the class of '64. Our committee has worked extremely hard, connecting with classmates and encouraging them to attend this special reunion. I would like to thank you for your very hard work, and we are thrilled to see so many people back on campus and hope the classes after us will find our efforts inspiring. With that, we are really excited to present this check to Rock Jones in the amount of $842,263 for our class gift. All right, now where was I here? Okay. Oh yeah, with this amount, this gift includes the contributions made to Ohio Wesleyan Fund and the 1964 Commons Garden Project. This represents 38% participation from our class, many of whom made a very significant increased commitment in honor of this occasion. Thanks to each and every one of you. In addition to our class gift, I have the privilege of recognizing the 5-year cumulative total our class has contributed to Ohio Wesleyan. This includes any gift made to the university since our 45th reunion. With the class gift total from this year, the 5-year additional Tower Society commitments made this year, I'm thrilled to share that the class has made a financial impact totaling $2,907,000. $2,900,000, and that's hard for me to figure this out. And $856. Thank you. Yes.
Oh, goodness. Well, thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Grant and Kathy. Our gifts ensure that Ohio Wesleyan continues to transform students' lives. As you can see in today's program, our fundraising results are quite substantial. With all reunion classes dollars combined to the Ohio Wesleyan Fund, we have raised a total of $1,430,819 to date. If you have not made a gift in honor of your reunion, please consider making a gift before June 30th, which marks the end of Ohio Wesleyan's fiscal year. On behalf of the university and the Alumni Board, thank you to the volunteers and the donors who made these gifts possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sheila. Let's move on to celebrating our amazing alumni. Those chosen for recognition this afternoon were nominated by the Alumni Recognition Committee, chaired by our Liz Long Downey in the back. And the Alumni Board of Directors then votes on that nomination once the slate is presented. This is a very thorough and thoughtful process. I'm sure you'll feel the sense of pride that each of us as an alumni board feels as we learn more about our outstanding alumni that we're going to honor today. I will not be reading the comprehensive citations written about each of the awardees. I encourage you to do so as they're all printed in your programs. First, I'd like to take a moment to recognize Dick Smith and Sue Pastors, who are with us today. Dick, Sue? Is Sue with us? While we won't be giving an honorary alumni status award this year, both have received it in the past and they're with us, and I just wanted to make sure we acknowledge them. The Alumni Award was established in 1937 as an expression of gratitude to alumni who have supported the institution in a wide variety of ways. To date, over 250 alums have been recognized with this award. As you can imagine, it's a list of the who's who for those who have received it. We are privileged to have many of our past Alumni Award recipients on stage with us this afternoon, and I would like to introduce them to you. Their names are listed in the program, but I'd like to recognize them publicly. Would those alumni please stand as I introduce you and stay standing until everyone has been introduced. Virginia Pearsall Kirkwood, Edward Miller, Thomas Tritton, Laura Pierce Bump, Lori McGregor Connor, Janice K. Fritz, Sally Christensen Harris, Robert A. Holm, Wendy McCall Johnson, Peter J. Lee, Jack E. McKinney, David E. Papoy, Patricia Fraser Papoy, and Nick Pry. Thank you very much for your wonderful service. I'd like to invite Kathy Butler, class of 1974, to meet me at the podium. Faster. It's a pleasure to honor Kathy Butler with this 2014 Alumni Award for Outstanding Dedication and Service to Ohio Wesleyan. At Ohio Wesleyan, Kathy was a member of the Pi Beta Phi sorority and was elected to Pi Sigma Alpha, the National Political Science Honorary Society. Upon graduation, Kathy embarked upon a career that has encompassed both business and community leadership. Ohio Wesleyan has benefited from Kathy's skills and talents. She served on the Alumni Board of Directors from 2001 to 2012 in many capacities, ultimately rising to the position of its president. She also has been co-chair of her class leadership in support of the Ohio Wesleyan Fund. She has served as an evaluator on the Meeks Scholarship Committee from 2010 to 2013. In addition, she has served as a member of the University Marketing Advisory Council and on 3 class reunion committees. She was the chair of the class reunion committee in 1999. In addition, she is the alumni representative at the inauguration of President Rock Jones in 2008. Today, we join Kathy's reunion classmates in applauding and thanking her for her service to Ohio Wesleyan University. She is a valued member of our family. President Jones. I'd like to invite Dick and Ann Castle to join me. This is a couple that if you haven't met them, I met them yesterday and feel like I've known them my whole life. It's a pleasure to honor both of you, both from the class of 64 and in this 2014 Alumni Award for Outstanding Dedication and Service to Ohio Wesleyan. Graduating from Ohio Wesleyan in '64, Dick was an economics major, while Ann, also from the same class, majored in home economics and secondary education. Both were members of Greek organization. Dick was a Phi Kappa Psi, and Ann was a Kappa Kappa Gamma. Dick was an outstanding athlete. I learned he was on the golf, basketball, and soccer teams. Thank you. Got lucky with that one. Dick and Ann have volunteered both for Ohio Wesleyan and other organizations. He and Ann have served Ohio Wesleyan in coordinating the Atlanta alumni events. They also have chaired their 30th and co-chaired their 50th class reunions and were members of the Associates. Additionally, Dick and Ann were proud parents of Matthew and the Ohio Wesleyan alum Kristen Castle Jewell, class of 1993. In 2010, the Castles spearheaded a project to memorialize those from Ohio Wesleyan who had made the ultimate sacrifice for our country. The Fallen Heroes Memorial outside Beagley Library includes the American Eagle, a sculpture commissioned by the Castles and created by Idaho sculptor Michael Curtis for the memorial. The memorial is a permanent place to honor and reflect upon those who have died in service to our country and our beliefs. You should all visit that beautiful memorial if you get a chance. Today we join Dick and Ann's reunion classmates in saluting and thanking them for their service to Ohio Wesleyan. Thank you very much for being a valued member to our family. I would like to invite Kathy Law Rhinesmith, class of 1964, to join me at the podium. It is a pleasure and an honor for my friend, Kathy Law Rhinesmith, class of 1964, to honor her with this 2014 Alumni Award for Outstanding Dedication and Service to Ohio Wesleyan. A Kappa Alpha Theta at Ohio Wesleyan, Kathy began her extensive career in service by being actively involved with activities in the Office of the Chaplain. Kathy's service to Ohio Wesleyan is particularly noteworthy. She was a member of the Alumni Board of Directors for 9 years, serving as its president. Moving on to the Ohio Wesleyan Board of Trustees in 1999, she rose to the position of chair of the board and now is a life member. She chaired the Presidential Search Committee in 2004, and Kathy is a co-founder of the OWU Cape and the Islands Alumni Chapter, which holds its biennial Ohio Wesleyan Cape Cod Clam Bake for alumni and friends. Sounds good. Kathy served as an alumni admissions representative, an annual giving class chair, career services volunteer, and has been a member of the President's Circle. Over the years, Kathy has been instrumental in gathering together Glee Club and Gleettes alumni for their affinity reunions. This year, she serves as a co-chair of the class of 1964, Gold Key Reunion Planning Committee. Today, we join Kathy's reunion classmates in saluting and thanking her for your exemplary service to Ohio Wesleyan. Thank you so much. The Young Alumni Award was established in 2011. However, this is the first year we've made a presentation of the award. This award was created to recognize alumni of the past 15 years who have shown exceptional success and leadership in their chosen profession or for their outstanding commitment to Ohio Wesleyan. I would like to invite Sahan Dasanayaki to the stage. It's a pleasure to honor Sahan T.M. Dasanayaki, class of 2004, with this 2014 Young Alumni Award for his outstanding accomplishments after graduating from Ohio Wesleyan 10 years ago. At Ohio Wesleyan, Sahan was a trustees scholar and a member of the honors program. He was named outstanding economics major, and he was elected to the Omicron Delta Epsilon honorary. He was a participant in the summer science research program and was active in a variety of clubs and organizations. Following his graduation, again, 10 years ago, ready for this? He has received an MS in Applied Mathematics and a PhD in Agricultural and Applied Economics from the University of Illinois, where he was named the Outstanding PhD Student Award by the Department of Agriculture and Consumer Economics. His main research centers on ecosystems, services, and land conservation, and uses choice experiment surveys to understand preferences and mathematical programming to model optimal resource allocation. Wow. Never going to read that sentence again. His survey work analyzes preferences for grasslands in Illinois, the tree shade program to manage water quality in Oregon, payments to prevent deforestation in Nepal and Ethiopia, and improved stone adoption in Ethiopia. This work received the Robert Ferber Dissertation Award for Excellence in Survey Research Lab from the University of Illinois Survey Research Lab. His mathematical programming work has focused on optimal conservation, land use within military installations, and optimal school districting formulations. His research interests have expanded to studying preferences and spatial subsidies for renewable energy and externalities affecting hydropower generation. In October of 2013, Sahan spent 2 days at Ohio Wesleyan lecturing to current Ohio Wesleyan students and giving the economics department lecture titled "The Economics of Ecosystem Services and Biodiversity." That provided a series of examples of just how and why economics plays a role in protecting and restoring nature. We're delighted to honor Sahan with one of Ohio Wesleyan's inaugural Young Alumni Awards and congratulate him on his significant efforts. I'd like to invite Maggie Smith Beeler, class of 1999, to join me. It's a pleasure to honor Maggie Smith Beeler, class of 1999, with this 2014 Young Alumni Award for her outstanding accomplishments since her graduation from Ohio Wesleyan only 15 years ago. Maggie's career success was foreshadowed by the awards she garnered as an undergraduate. As an English major, the Benjamin Spencer Award, the Robert Flanagan Prize for Writing, and the Frederick L. Hunt Prize for Proficiency and Promise in Creative Writing. A Wesleyan scholar and a member of Tri-Delt, she also was elected to Sigma Tau Delta, the English honorary, and she graduated summa cum laude with university honors. In 2003, she received her MFA in poetry from the Ohio State University. Her books include the forthcoming The Well Speaks of Its Own Poison, which has been named winner of the Dorset Prize, and Lamp of the Body, which won for the Benjamin Saltman Poetry Award in 2005. Maggie's poems have appeared in many highly regarded poetry journals and anthologies. Maggie has taught creative writing as an emerging writer lecturer at Gettysburg College and has blogged for the Kenyon Review. A 2011 recipient of Creative Writing Fellowship from the National Endowment for the Arts. She has also received 4 Individual Excellence Awards from the Ohio Arts Council, 2 Academy of American Poets Prizes. She is the owner of wasn't an English major. Versed Creative Services, LLC, and has remained connected to Ohio Wesleyan by providing readings and lectures to students. We're delighted to honor you, Maggie, for one of Ohio Wesleyan's inaugural Young Alumni Awards. Congratulations. With the approval and encouragement of the Ohio Wesleyan administration, the Board of Directors, the Alumni Association has established the Distinguished Achievement Citation in 1979. Through the Distinguished Achievement Citation, known as the DAC, we seek to recognize the life, work, and character of Ohio Wesleyan's most outstanding alumni. The criteria for this award are that the person must be an alumna or alumnus, and the person's life must be characterized by remarkable professional achievement or profound service to humanity, or both. Because the citation highlights professional and/or humanitarian accomplishments, it differs from the Alumni Award, which recognizes devout service to the university. To date, only 110 alumni have received the award, and we're honored to have a few of those recipients with us today. Virginia Pearsall Kirkwood, Philip Meek, Edward Miller Jr., and Thomas Trinton. Our first recipient of the Distinguished Achievement Citation is Alice Moore Batchelder, class of 1964. The Ohio Wesleyan University Alumni Association Board of Directors is honored and privileged to recognize Alice Moore Batchelder, class of 1964, as a pioneer for women in law and an outstanding jurist. Alice is currently Chief Judge of the Court of Appeals for the Sixth Circuit, which covers Michigan, Kentucky, Ohio, and Tennessee. At Ohio Wesleyan, Alice was a member of Pi Beta Phi and active in the chaplain's office mission involvement. After her graduation, she received a law degree from the University of Akron Law School in 1971. Her first judicial experience was as a judge in the U.S. Bankruptcy Court, the Northern District of Ohio, in 1983. In 1985, President Ronald Reagan appointed her to the U.S. District Court of the Northern District of Ohio, and in 1992, she was appointed to the 6th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals by President George H.W. Bush. She began her term as Chief Judge in 2009, and she'll step down from that post in August of this year. Alice and her husband, Bill, met at Ohio Wesleyan, and she had the unique pleasure of swearing him in as the 101st Speaker of the Ohio House of Representatives in 2011. Today, I honor her exceptional judicial career. Ohio Wesleyan joins her husband, her reunion classmates, as well as all of our other guests in congratulating her on her Distinguished Alumni Citation.
I'm forever speaking after tall people. I think every graduate of Ohio Wesleyan has probably innumerable reasons to be grateful to the institution and innumerable important memories from their years at Wesleyan. I'm a little different. I was a townie. So Ohio Wesleyan was central to my life from the time I was 5 years old. In fact, I was just having some time with Mark Ships out in the hall and reminiscing about his grandparents, Herman Ships and Blanche Ships, who were surrogate grandparents to me, and my mother worked for Herman Ships for a number of years. And because of that, I was able to come to Ohio Wesleyan at a very reduced tuition, for which I'm still grateful. If I had to pick out a couple of things about Wesleyan, though, that have been formative for me, it would be hard, but I would easily zero in on two. One was that shortly after I began my freshman year, I was standing on the corner of Sandusky and William Streets with my roommate, and this strange character came down Sandusky Street riding a bike with a dark raincoat flapping behind him, wearing a Scotch plaid cap, looking a little like Zorro on a bicycle. And I turned to my roommate and said, "Don't you just wonder who's going to end up with that?" And that and I have now been married for nearly 48 years. And that, in fact, is the Speaker of the Ohio House, and I'd really like him to stand up. So that was formative, as you can imagine. Although I must say, I didn't actually meet him until the very end of my senior year, but that was just in time. The other thing I think would probably be having had the benefit of taking only one class, had I known I would have taken more, from Libby Reed. In fact, in the room before we came out here, several of us were talking about how we don't write anything without wondering whether it would pass inspection from Libby Reed. But she did something for me even more than that. I was a lazy student, and I pretty typically, when I had to write a paper, I would roll the paper into the typewriter, and whatever I rolled out, I turned in. And one night at 3 o'clock in the morning, I rolled out of the typewriter my paper on James Fenimore Cooper, and it was Mrs. Reed's class called The American Image. And I looked at it and I thought, she is so terrific, and I am ashamed to turn this in. I'd never done a first draft before, but that was a first draft. I fixed it, and it was an 8 o'clock class, and I got there at 8:15 and turned it in, and a few days later I got it back with a red A- on the top, and next to it it said, if this had been on time, it would have been an A. She may never know what she did for me, but I know. And Ohio Wesleyan, of course, has done a great deal more than that. So I thank you very much for this honor. I'm very humbled and very excited to have it. Thank you.
Thank you, Justice Batchelder. I'd like to ask W. Joseph Campbell, class of 1974, to join me. The Ohio Wesleyan University Alumni Association Board of Directors is honored and privileged to recognize W. Joseph Campbell, class of 1974, as an exemplary journalist and a teacher. Majoring in journalism and history, Joe is a member of Phi Gam and a varsity athlete playing basketball, obviously. He was elected to Omicron Delta Kappa National Leadership Honorary. The Ohio Wesleyan faculty chose him as the top journalism student in 1974. He received his PhD in mass communication from the School of Journalism at Mass Communication at University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. Immediately thereafter, he joined the American University faculty and is a full tenured professor at the university's School of Communication. In 2006, he was honored as American University's Faculty Member of the Year, and his service to the university has been exemplary. Joe's most recent book, Getting It Wrong, 10 of the greatest misreported stories in American journalism, was honored with the 2010 Research About Journalism, Sigma Delta Chi Award from the Society of Professional Journalists. He is a 3-time Pulitzer Prize nominee, both for national and international reporting. Joe is the immediate past president of Kappa Tau Alpha, the 100-year-old National Honor Society recognizing high achievement in journalism and mass communication studies. For his professional and scholarly achievements, including his dedication to getting it right, we applaud and recognize W. Joseph Campbell with this award.
Thank you very much, David. Thank you, Rock. Can everybody see me okay? I may be one of the most tallest of the 100 and so recipients of this award, and I'm certainly among the most deeply honored. Being here on stage at beloved Gray Chapel, you know, when I used to come to University Hall, it was mostly to come to the woodshed that Dean Studer had for us back in the day. But being here on stage at Gray Chapel is testimony to the fact that David Hand is correct. Who is David Hand? He's a British mathematician who recently brought out a book called The Improbability Principle. The Improbability Principle is a serious-minded work that argues quite persuasively that coincidences and rare events and rare occasions are more common than we think. That the improbable occurs more often than we give it credit for. And it had to have seemed highly improbable 44 years ago when I enrolled at Ohio Wesleyan that I'd ever be on this stage to accept a high honor from the Alumni Association. I arrived on campus in September 1970, a decidedly unworldly teenager, not quite 18 years old, a recent graduate from a small high school near Oberlin, Ohio. And I left 4 years later, 40 years ago this spring, as a young man with a decided career path into journalism. Needless to say, I did not start at the top. 8 days after graduating from Ohio Wesleyan, I signed on at the Cleveland Plain Dealer, covering cops, covering the police beat at 6 at night to 3 in the morning, and writing obituaries on the weekend. The thinking was back then, 40 years ago, that if you could cover the cops, if you could get along with the police, if you could get stories from them, and you could write the obituaries without error, then you could cover almost anything. And I guess there was some truth to that, because within 6 years after graduating from Ohio Wesleyan, I was overseas with the Associated Press, based in Geneva, Switzerland, reporting on such stories as nuclear arms control talks between the Soviets and the Americans, filling special assignments to Warsaw, Poland, and the Solidarity Labor Movement's challenge to communist rule in that country. I also reported from West Africa, a swath of territory from Senegal in the west to Chad in the center of the continent, down through the Cameroons, places that many Americans have never heard of. I've traveled far in my career in journalism, and a propellant for that career, a singular propellant for my career in journalism, for these far-flung assignments that I fulfilled, was Ohio Wesleyan. Ohio Wesleyan and the journalism program headed by Vern Edwards. Vernalism, we called it. Vernalism. And we meant no disrespect by vernalism. To the contrary, we were deeply respectful and grateful for the head of the journalism program, Vern Edwards, and his successes in crafting this program into an internationally recognized program that commanded deep respect in the profession and that produced a succession of top graduates. Phil Meek, Larry Heinzerling, Greg Moore, Tom Jolly, just to name a few. These were all outstanding journalism graduates from this fine institution. It was quite by chance, highly improbable, that I found my way to journalism at Ohio Wesleyan. Fall quarter 1970, I signed up for courses such as psychology and astronomy. Most of those courses, 2 of the 3 courses anyway, were full. And so in the registrar's office, they gave me journalism. It wasn't an alternate course that I had put down, but it was a serendipitous choice in the registrar's office that reverberates to this day. It reverberates for me to this day. Because if not for that class, if not for the Introduction to Journalism class in the fall of 1970, I would not have found my way so quickly to the transcript staff. I would not have found my way so quickly to a journalism career. So David Hand is quite right. The unexpected does happen. The unexpected happens more often than we believe. And for this quite unexpected award, a distinguished award from Ohio Wesleyan, from my beloved alma mater, my many thanks. Thank you to President Jones. Thank you to Brenda DeWitt and her staff for the many inquiries that I posed to them in the run-up to today's event. Many thanks to my mates from the class of 1974. My thanks to my wife, Anne-Marie Regan. And thank you, Ohio Wesleyan. Thank you.
I would like to invite Claudia Colton, class of 1969. Thank you, Claudia. Ohio Wesleyan University's Alumni Association Board of Directors is honored and privileged to recognize Claudia J. Colton, class of 1969, as an educator and an agent for change. Following her graduation from Ohio Wesleyan with a major in sociology, Claudia earned an MSW from The Ohio State University and a PhD in social welfare from Case Western Reserve University in 1978. She remained at Case Western, advancing from assistant professor to full professor in 6 years. Today, she is a distinguished university professor and the Lillian F. Harris Professor of Urban Social Research at the Jack, Joseph, and Morton Mandel School of Applied Social Sciences. Under Claudia's leadership, the center has become nationally recognized for putting research into action through community partnerships and has received more than $30 million in grants and contracts to support her work. In addition, Claudia is one of the founders of the National Neighborhood Indicators Partnership, with affiliates in more than 35 cities nationwide that support technically advanced information solutions to urban social problems. Her contributions to the field of social welfare have been recognized with a number of awards, including induction into the American Academy of Social Work and Social Welfare Hall of Fame. For her professional achievements and her dedication to the practical application of research for community good, we applaud and recognize Claudia Colton with this Distinguished Achievement Citation.
I'm greatly honored for this award, especially recognizing all the accomplishments of my fellow Ohio Wesleyan alumni. I'm very pleased to be on the stage of Gray Chapel, where I remember as a freshman coming to this small town of Delaware, Ohio, which at that time felt relatively isolated. I can see it's changed a lot in terms of being encroached by urban sprawl. But in the midst of that isolation, this place brought the world to the students through the arts series and the lecture series that performed here. And for me, it really opened my eyes to the diversity of the world, to the beauty, and to the many ways of thinking. And I think that it did that for many of my fellow students. I too, as the previous speakers have said, can trace a lot of my current interests and work to the foundations at Ohio Wesleyan University. Many professors engaged me and my fellow students in the kind of learning that we today maybe call active learning. And at that time was just a natural part, in my opinion, of what went on here at Ohio Wesleyan. We engaged with original sources. We were involved with research, actual research with faculty when we wanted to be. My mentor and advisor, B.A. Jones, who was a great inspiration to many of us at that time, was that kind of professor, and so were many of the others. I also want to acknowledge the importance of my fellow students, especially in getting me involved in social action and being able to see the impact of that kind of collective work. Those were the days when, at many universities, the collective action of the students was to lock the president in his office. But here at Ohio Wesleyan, I felt, and I think we felt, actually the support of the university for taking action. There was the Office of the Chaplain and other offices that were very much concerned about the world and wanting students to help make it a better place. And so my other memory of this building is when we got involved with the Poor People's Campaign. Martin Luther King started it and then was assassinated relatively soon after that. but there was a building, a shack we built on the lawn, and the police were not called. We were able to get involved in doing something we felt was important at the time. I want to thank the Alumni Association, the president. I also want to thank my parents who really couldn't afford for me to go to Ohio Wesleyan, but they sacrificed because they believed in the small liberal arts school and the advantage of that type of education. And I also want to thank my husband, Jim, and my daughters for all their support along the way. Thank you.
Congratulations. I'd like to invite Ed Folsom, class of 1969. Ohio Wesleyan University's Alumni Association Board of Directors is honored and privileged to recognize Ed Folsom, class of 1969, as a teacher, one of the nation's premier scholars and world's foremost experts on the work of Walt Whitman. At Ohio Wesleyan, Ed was an English major, a member of Phi Delta Theta, Omicron Delta Kappa, and Phi Beta Kappa, and was also active in WCSA and the WSLN radio. Following his graduation, Ed earned an MA in English and a PhD in English and American Literature from the University of Rochester. He is currently the Roy J. Carver Professor of English at the University of Iowa. Ed's scholarly work, especially related to the life and writings of Walt Whitman, has made him the world's go-to Whitman expert. He has been particularly interested in the ways American poets have talked back to Whitman over the years and how Whitman tapped into American culture to construct a radical new kind of writing. Beyond his writing about Whitman, Ed has been featured on national media outlets such as PBS, Fox News, and CBS Sunday Morning, all on the myriad aspects of Whitman's work and life. Of course, Ed is widely published in scholarly journals and contributes in countless ways to academic life at the University of Iowa. Today, Ohio Wesleyan applauds and recognizes Ed's successes by honoring him with this citation. President Jones, I present you Ed Folsom, class of 1969, as a recipient of the Distinguished Achievement Citation.
One of my favorite lines in Walt Whitman's poetry is this simple but perfect statement about being a single self among many. This is the city, and I am one of the citizens. It's a striking moment of illumination and one I've come to live by over the years as I've experienced myself in various communities, realizing in each case that I am one of the citizens. Citizens whose impressions and interests all intersect and overlap, even when they're strangers, potentially creating what Whitman imagined to be a democratic oneness of experience. That's what citizens in a community do. They make each other, continually, visibly, and invisibly, through the circulation of diverse selves with diverse interests that keep converging on each citizen. Today, I want to say this is Ohio Wesleyan, and I am one of its citizens. An award like this is always an honor, but I learned many years ago that it is also always a representative award, not a recognition of individual achievement so much as a recognition of general excellence in the community. I've served on enough award committees to know that the decision for any honor is always something of a lottery, that there are many candidates and any one would be perfect because all are representative of the broad and varied achievements that a community like Ohio Wesleyan generates and nurtures. When I've served on such committees and seen how impossible it is to select a few out of the diverse many, I've become keenly aware of just how deep in the community excellent achievement goes and how it permeates the citizens of a city. Whatever in my own work is worthy of honor derives directly from the communities I've been a part of for the past half-century. In my case, 3 wonderful academic communities: the Ohio Wesleyan community, the University of Rochester community, and the University of Iowa community, all of which have energized me far more than I could ever energize them. This Ohio Wesleyan city now has endless thousands of citizens, faculty, students, alums, and none of us knows more than a fraction of them. But all of them form what this city now is. I'm very lucky. I left Ohio Wesleyan and ended up doing day by day, year after year, exactly what I loved doing when I was here in the late 1960s. Having discussions and conversations and arguments and debates over literature and life and imagination and community. Some of the best discussions of my life with people like Ben Spencer and Ron Rollins and Randy Waldron, Frank Corrado and Tom Heffernan and Dave Bartholomew, Judy Kinney and David Johnson. I made a career out of replicating those discussions. I remember when Ben Spencer, I talked to Ben Spencer a couple of years after I left Ohio Wesleyan when it was clear I was going to follow the path of becoming a professor, and he told me, Ed, the great thing and the scary thing about becoming a professor is, and you've got to be aware of this, you never grow up. And interestingly, it's taken me my career to actually realize what he meant. But you do replicate those same discussions that you had, that I had when I was at Ohio Wesleyan. And I try to do it the best I can for generations of students ever since I've left here. And I've been very lucky to have my favorite classmate, Pat Jackson, who's somewhere here today, as my life partner. Pat's another amazing Ohio Wesleyan citizen whose career at the University of Iowa developing and directing the pioneering academic advising center there has been, truth be known, a more significant and lasting achievement than my own. It runs very deep, my fellow citizens, the excellence in this Ohio Wesleyan community. And I'm very proud to be one of the citizens. Thank you.
I'd like to invite Rich Gordon, class of 1973, to the podium. The Ohio Wesleyan University Alumni Association Board of Directors is honored and privileged to recognize Richard Gordon, class of 1973, as a teacher and a leader in the field of sport psychology. At Ohio Wesleyan, Rich was a member of the university football, the varsity football and golf teams. After graduation, he earned a master's degree in physical education from The Ohio State University and a doctorate in education in sports psychology and educational psychology from the University of Utah. He is now a professor in the Department of Physical Education and Recreation at Utah State University. Rich has been a sports psychology consultant for numerous Olympic-level athletic teams. Additionally, he has worked with several professionals on the PGA and Champions Golf Tours. The former chair of the certification committee of the Association for Applied Sports Psychology, AASP, Rich was the sports psychology consultant for the USA women's gymnastics team in Seoul and for the USA track and field team during the 2004 Olympic Games. In 2010, he served as the sports psychologist for the USA Nordic combined ski team in Vancouver. During the 2014 Olympics in Sochi, Russia, he was a personal advisor to 6-time Nordic combined Olympic skier and U.S. flag bearer Todd Lodwick. Today, for his work as educator and motivator, Ohio Wesleyan applauds Richard Gordon with the presentation of this award. President Jones, I present Rich Gordon, class of 1973, as a recipient of the Distinguished Achievement Citation. My pleasure.
It's always fun to go last. So many great remarks from my colleagues. Thank you to the Alumni Association, President Jones. It's especially meaningful for me today to have my parents here in the audience, Paula and Dick Gordon, my brother, one of my brothers, Rob, and my wife, Colleen. Also, some of my former professors are in attendance. And what I learned at Ohio Wesleyan as a 17-year-old, I thought I was pretty good at football. I have to correct the citation. I wasn't good enough to be on the golf team here. But that's okay. Both of my brothers were. And my father was a coach. He said I shouldn't play golf, stick with football. But talking about a decision, as a 17-year-old, you think you're pretty good at sports and at football, and I was recruited in the Mid-American Conference, many schools there. And at the time, Ohio Wesleyan was promoting a program to bring faculty children to campus. And I took Ohio Wesleyan up on that offer. What a wise decision. Because not only did I get to play sports here, it influenced my life to continue in the field of sports. My professors not only taught me in the classroom, but they taught me on the sporting fields. Some of them have been mentioned already. Dr. Waldron and I and Dr. Flanagan would play handball together. Now, can you imagine playing handball with your professors? I don't think we negotiated for grades, but we might have. Dr. Smith up here taught me history. And I must tell this story. He doesn't know this, but it's a fun one to tell. I thought it would be such a difficult class. And it had about 11 books to read. And Dr. Smith would get up and I don't think he ever used a note. But he would just mesmerize you at 8 o'clock in the morning with American history. I read all the books maybe twice. I took the class pass-fail and got an A. Can that be changed, Dr. Smith? Ohio Wesleyan, so many roots. All of you feel them. We all feel them. You've heard everybody today talk about them. I don't know what else to say other than to say thank you to all of you. I know you share all your own personal memories just as we do here on this stage. I'm very humbled to receive this award and very thankful for it. Thank you.
I think we should be all very impressed with the caliber of alumni that our fine university turns out. One of my favorite things I get to do as a job as president of the Alumni Association Board of Directors is introduce to all of you the 16th president of Ohio Wesleyan University, Rock Jones.
Thank you, David, and thank you all for being here and for sharing this wonderful and festive weekend together. And as I said to the 50-year reunion class of 1964 yesterday, I say not welcome back, but welcome home. To those who have been honored this afternoon, I stand in awe of the service rendered to this institution and of the personal and professional accomplishments represented by those who are seated just behind me, as well as by so many of you who are gathered in this auditorium. Your lives of service and of accomplishment, professionally and personally, in your work and in the communities in which you have lived and the organizations which you have served, represent the highest fulfillment of the mission of Ohio Wesleyan, and you stand as exemplars to our students today, whom we hope will emulate you in their lives in all that is ahead. As you know, Ohio Wesleyan was founded in 1842. We were founded by Methodists locally. The charter that was written in 1842 said that Ohio Wesleyan would be forever operated on the most liberal principles, that is, committed to liberal arts education. That Ohio Wesleyan would be open to students regardless of their religious denomination. That was unusual among the denominational colleges of the 1830s and 1840s. And finally, that Ohio Wesleyan would exist to serve the benefit of citizens in general. So from the beginning, Ohio Wesleyan was established as a liberal arts institution that would value diversity and that would seek to serve the common good. You experienced those values in your years as a student here on this campus. And I can tell you that those values are alive and well at your alma mater today. Ohio Wesleyan remains deeply committed to the values of liberal education represented in the liberal arts and sciences. We embrace and celebrate diversity, building a student body and a faculty and staff that represent the diverse world in which today's students will live their lives. And we seek to prepare our students today, as you were prepared in the years past, for lives that serve the public good. But while Ohio Wesleyan today reflects those historic values, we are not limited by our past. Over the last 5 years, since you were last here for your reunions, the faculty at Ohio Wesleyan has engaged in significant work to reflect upon the nature of the liberal arts curriculum for the students who will live their lives in the middle of the 21st century. And they have formed the OWU Connection, which provides opportunities for students to make important connections between the rigors of the classroom and practical experiences in the real world, the kind of engaged learning which Claudia cited a few minutes ago. We want our students making connections between the campus and the world, between theory and practice. We want them to make connections across the disciplines because we know that the complex challenges their generation inherits from our generations can only be solved by individuals who have the capacity to explore those problems from the perspectives of multiple disciplines and to explore those problems in ways that connect theoretical foundations with practical applications. So the OWU Connection gives students today the opportunity to connect theory to practice in a global context so that we can prepare the next generation of moral leaders for a global society. A part of that work is the opportunity for students to connect theory to practice. They do this with independent research, original research, some of which gets presented at disciplinary meetings even as undergraduates. They do this with field work. They do this with volunteer service. They do this with study abroad. They do this with cross-cultural experiences in the classroom and beyond the classroom. They connect theory to practice. And has been referenced by those from whom we have heard this afternoon, the learning at Ohio Wesleyan begins in the classroom, but it extends beyond the classroom. So they learn when they participate in athletic competition, as a third of today's students do. They learn when they participate in Greek life, as so many of you did. 5 years ago, about a quarter of our students affiliated with a fraternity or a sorority. This spring, 47% of the men on campus and more than a third of the women on campus are affiliated with a fraternity or a sorority. They learn when they participate in WCSA. They learn when they write for the transcript. They learn when they engage in student organizations. They learn when they go into the community to volunteer. And more, they learn when they take their education beyond the campus and even beyond the borders of this country. 5 years ago, 62 students received academic credit for an experience that took them outside of the United States. This year, 256 students received credit for an experience that took them outside of the United States. As we are gathered today in Gray Chapel, we have students with Professor Carol Newman de Vegvar from the art department studying medieval and Renaissance art in Italy. They left on Thursday. As we are here in Gray Chapel today, we have students with Professor John Gatz in Tanzania studying the zoology of East Africa. As we are gathered here today, we have students in England with Professor Nancy Comaros studying English literature, and with Professor Ellen Arnold studying the castles and cathedrals of the Middle Ages as they come to understand medieval life. As we are gathered here today in Gray Chapel, we have students with Professor Paul Dean from the Department of Sociology in Argentina. As we are gathered here today in Gray Chapel, we have students in Alaska with Professor Craig Jackson from the Department of Mathematics. They're taking the mathematical models they developed in the classroom this semester, and they're using those models to measure glacial movement that may be affected by global climate change. That is connecting theory to practice, and that's what the OWU Connection is all about. So our students today have the opportunity to benefit from an education that reflects the values that you experienced, but enhances those values in ways that allow them to connect today so that when they graduate and move forward, they can create tomorrow, the tomorrow that will make the world a better place. When they graduate, they are having increasing opportunities because of the education they receive here. Last November, we surveyed the students who graduated a year ago. More than 3/4 of the students in the graduating class of 2013 responded to the survey. Of those who responded, 94% are in graduate school or employed. And those who are in graduate school are in places that include Georgetown, New York University, Columbia, the University of Chicago, and Stanford, just to name a few. But of those who are employed, 84% are employed in the field of their choice. I know you've read in the media the difficult time that college graduates are having obtaining employment today. Our students are ready, and their acceptance rates into prestigious graduate programs and their employment in the fields of choice reflect the impact of the education that they are receiving here, connecting theory to practice in a global context. This spring, grad students and graduating seniors have received a number of awards. For the first time of which we are aware, 3 of our people, 1 senior and 2 who have just graduated, have received National Science Foundation graduate research fellowships in the same cycle. All 3 of those students participated in the Theory to Practice program in their time here at Ohio Wesleyan and completed original research here on campus. We have for the first time a Boren Scholar who will be able to travel and study and offer service in East Asia. She traveled to Asia, to China, and to Taiwan on 2 travel learning experiences with a member of the Ohio Wesleyan faculty. This year, Ohio's Student Teacher of the Year was Kelly Meyer from Ohio Wesleyan. These are just some of the accolades earned by the students who are graduating this year and will be moving on from here into the world beyond Ohio Wesleyan. A year ago, I stood before the classes of 3 and 8. We have 4 and 9 here today. A year ago, I stood before the classes of 3 and 8 and invited them to imagine with me. I invited them to imagine with me the restoration of Merrick Hall. I invited them to imagine with me the restoration of Edwards Gym and the creation of a fitness center in the old Pfeiffer Natatorium. I invited them to imagine with me the restoration of this building. I invited them to imagine with me the development of an endowment to support the OWU Connection and ultimately the growth of an endowment that would reflect the endowments of the institutions with which we are most often compared, but against which we are underfunded. Little did I know on that day that within a month we would announce, by the generosity of anonymous donors, an $8 million gift that would fund the restoration of Merrick Hall and return to life a building constructed in 1873 that has been offline now for 30 years. That building will house the OWU Connection. It's the place where students will go to explore the ways in which they can connect theory to practice, to think about where in the world they can take their education and where they can extend their learning beyond the borders of the campus and the boundaries of the country, connecting theory to practice in a global context. And little did I know a year ago that in February of this year, we would announce a second $8 million gift to fund the full restoration of Edwards Gym and the development of the Simpson Quarry Fitness Center and a dance studio in what previously was the Pfeiffer Natatorium. And little did I know a year ago that we would announce just yesterday a $5 million endowment provided by John and Kathy Milligan of the class of 1983 to help fund in perpetuity the OWU connection and the innovative work of the faculty of Ohio Wesleyan. So I don't have to ask you to imagine those things today, but I do invite you to imagine with me the future of Ohio Wesleyan. I invite you to imagine with me the renewal of this building, this grand space. The organ behind us, which Professor Musser played as we arrived, has just been refurbished, a $500,000 refurbishment that was complete just a few months ago. But for the protection of the organ and for the comfort of people who gather in this space at certain times of the year, we need air conditioning in this space. We need an elevator in this building. I don't have to tell some of you that. We need restrooms on the main floor of the building. This building would be the envy of any college campus in the country. And imagine with me the preservation and continued restoration of this icon, first constructed in the 1890s, but that will be here long after all of us are gone. Imagine with me the continued development of the OWU connection and the continued enhancement of the endowment that will ensure that in the future, generations of students will have access to all of the opportunities that you experienced and that students today have. That in the future, students, as was the case in your day and is the case today, will be taught by master teachers who also are world-class scholars. I know you will be glad to hear that when I talk to graduating seniors in groups, as I do in April of each year, and when I ask them to tell me what shaped their time here most of all, they always begin in the same place. And it's the place where our honorees today began. They begin with the stories of a member of the faculty, of a professor who was their teacher, their mentor, their friend, and their guide. And as we imagine the future of Ohio Wesleyan, we imagine a place where the commitment to that kind of education is unending, and where the ability to attract that kind of faculty will persist forever. One of the members of one of our reunion classes, Evan Corns from the class of 1959, likes to call me or email me early in the day. And the members of the class of 59 know this pattern. He doesn't do to me what he does to you. He doesn't ask me for money, but I know he's asked every one of you for money. But he always has great ideas and great things. But he always begins with these words: "It is a great day to be a bishop." And I want to leave you with those words today. As you return to campus today, and as you share this weekend with your classmates, I hope that you can feel, as those of us who have the privilege of spending every day on campus can feel, it is a great day to be a bishop. Thank you.
I know. I'll make sure to announce it. Thank you. Just a couple of items. We honored earlier, and it was in absentia, Mary Kay McGee Self in the class of 44, but she wasn't in the room when we made that announcement, so we're going to try that again. Celebrating her 70th reunion, Mary Kay McGee Self, class of 44. Mary. Before we end, I'd like to mention just a few items. I'd encourage you to take part in our various alumni college sessions this afternoon. There's much to do. Please look at your schedule to see if there's something that you'd like to participate in and attend. And hopefully the weather will hold off so you can get there. I hope you have a wonderful time this evening at your dinner with your class. You may choose to end the evening by attending either the Ohio Machine professional lacrosse game down at Selby, or you're welcome to go to the social under the stars, might unfortunately be inside, down at Stuyvesant Hall. But to conclude the meeting, I'd like to invite Lori McGregor Connor, class of 1977, and former Alumni Award recipient, to lead us in the singing of our alma mater. The words are located in your program.
Please rise if you are able. Thank you.